We developed the special units in the commandos and a diving unit for distinct missions. But as you can see, many of these capabilities now, you have much more integrated missions. You can move over land, you can move over sea, and you have much more integration in all the operations. So the things which you used to do separately, you now do together. A lot of them. So it makes sense to put together the enormous capabilities, the sort of very sophisticated capabilities of these two forces, give them the additional support that they need, and this will allow us a good platform to develop their capability further. Well, the Special Operations Task Force, one of its duties is counter-terrorism, storming buildings, aircraft, ships, and so on. And the technology and the techniques for these things evolve quickly. They also have to deal with expanded threats. For example, you may no longer be dealing only with people with guns, but you may be dealing with people who have very powerful explosives and various kinds of other substances with them, some of which may be chemical or radiological and so on. So you need to develop a capability to deal with these things, and you require quite specialized capabilities. So you have to deal with them at sea, ashore, in buildings, in aeroplanes, on ships, coastlines, and so on. So you do need to bring together these capabilities and develop them in a much more complete, coherent, and integrated way. But we'll give you some more information on this. I don't want to sort of overly emphasize on this, because this is an important part, but just one part on the whole SAF. We are always looking at new technologies, new capabilities which allow us to do things better, more effectively and more efficiently, more cost effectively as well. Perhaps I can use an example from training. This is a very good illustration. Nowadays, with good simulators, you can actually have very high fidelity training for a whole range of missions and operations, which say a ship or an aircraft, now platoons, and companies and battalions have to do. So you can have much more efficient training, and you can also train the people to use this new equipment that they have very effectively, much more effectively than you can do so by actually going out in the field to do it. So these are the kinds of capabilities that we're looking for in the training arena, which gives us new, which gives us a new which presents us new opportunities. So we are investing a lot in simulators. We are investing a lot also in networks. So we're trying to, although we have a good level of integration, we are investing more in networks. And these are the parts of the SAF which, when you look at the vehicles, the platforms, whether it's a ship or it's an aircraft or it's a tank or an armored personnel carrier, you say, well, what's the difference? It's a piece of metal with an engine on the back. What's the difference between this and what you had before? But we have slowly been building in the background a network that enables us to put them all together. It's a very complex business, but it's something which we have invested in. And we will continue to invest more. Because if, for example, you can completely share a frigate's air picture with a national air defense picture, together with a picture from the G550s, and you can cross-cue weapons between them, you have a very comprehensive air defense envelope: sensors, surveillance, weapons. So these are things which we will continue to explore and invest in. So the whole part on the networks, sharing information, becoming more effective. So I'd say it provides us with more speed, more precision, more mobility, and therefore more combat power. We don't believe that you can fight wars just with electrons. It's certainly not the case. That's why we have people in Afghanistan, because we know that it is necessary to have people there contribute. And our people in Afghanistan are doing good work, medical, construction, and particularly in Bamiyan province, where we're putting in a lot of effort helping to build up the healthcare infrastructure in that area. So what you say is correct, that it's hearts and minds. And it's also having people on the ground. But you are now in a position where when you put people on the ground for combat, you don't put them in naked, or you don't put them in just with a sword and a shield, or a rifle and rifle 200 rounds and 2 grenades. Now when you put him in boots on the ground, he's actually got the whole SAF in his backpack. It's not just 200 rounds and 2 grenades. That's the difference. Well, in terms of military spending, our policy is very clear. We will continue to spend a certain amount a certain percentage of GDP on defense. We have said that we are prepared to spend up to 6% of GDP on defense. In practice, we've been spending about 4.5% of GDP on defense. And of course, we have been reasonably careful and tight in our spending. Well, we have been able to maintain it at about that level for now. So I would say that it is that the fact that we're prepared to invest in technology and new systems in defense that has enabled us to make better use of our people, better use of the time of our NSFs and our NSmen. And the fact that we've been able to make that investment has made our units more effective, and therefore we can cut down the length of the number of ICTs that we need to call our NSmen back for, and we can cut down the time of full-time national service, because we've been able to make use of 2 things. One, more effective training methods, and secondly, the better educational levels and high motivation levels of our NSFs. So in a sense, if we did not invest so much on defense, and I still had to depend on your traditional boots on the ground, actually counting the numbers of pairs of boots, I'll need a lot of pairs of boots, a lot more pairs of boots than I need today. Which means I have to keep people longer in full-time national service. I have to keep my NS battalions longer doing ICTs and so on.